Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream. And somehow, didn't even know it was possible, but Chelsea's season plunged new lows last night with a 3-1 defeat at the Emirates, making it 6 losses on the bounce for Frank Lampard since he took over as interim manager from Graham Potter just over a month ago. I don't know how, but this was one of the worst. Certainly that first half performance was absolutely pathetic. Game was put to bed after 35 minutes. We barely did anything in the first half. We had one Chilwell attempt on target. You could argue, well, why did Lampard go to the back four? We know we're shit in a back four. To be honest, mate, whatever formation we're in, we're shit. So whilst we can't knock him too much for the back four, I think the back three would have perhaps maybe been a little bit better, but it's easy to look in hindsight. You know, we've been losing so many matches. We've got to try and do maybe something a little bit different. Aubameyang was a complete loner up front. Complete waste of space, mate. You know, I think he had 9 touches in that game and 4 of them were kickoffs. So, you know, he was just like, look, there was no service for him. Of course there wasn't, but at the same time, you know, you've got to try and get involved in the game. If the ball's not coming to you as a forward, drop deep, try and get involved. Like, there was nothing there. But he just walked around for 45 minutes. You would have thought Emirates, he would have at least been up for it a little bit more. Wasn't up for it at all. Looked like he just didn't give a fuck. And, you know, there's big problems there. And every week I say, oh, it can't get worse. It can't get worse. And somehow it plunges new depths. And, you know, we're still on 39 points. The only reason we're not going to go down is not because we're going to get enough points. It's because everyone else is not going to get the required points they need, and they're somehow actually worse than us. But, mate, there's loads to get into. Thanks for coming as always, bro. Massively appreciate it. What were your thoughts after last night, mate? Because, you know, as we say, you know, we keep thinking it can't get worse. But, I mean, second half was a slight improvement. Admittedly, Arsenal had nothing they didn't need to do anything. So we were able to go out and play a little bit more. It's so easy to play when you're 3-0 down. You've got nothing to lose. So I'm not going to give us too much credit for that. But, mate, what were your thoughts on it last night? I mean, I guess the most obvious thing is, and the worst thing is, it wasn't even a surprise. We go into games now knowing we're going to lose.
No, exactly. But to be honest, you know, one way of looking at it is just pretend the first half didn't happen. Second half, we won. So, you know, unfortunately, it doesn't show in the table. But in my mind, that's what I'm clutching onto. Because like you say, I mean, there's 6 losses on the bounce, half an hour in, we're 3-0 down. We're defending like absolute clowns. Like the first goal, maybe I let them off a little bit.
How does that pass get past all those players?
One past Odegaard. But the second and the third goal were like in the middle of our box, and there's loads of Chelsea players around it. 1 or 2 Arsenal players, and they get the ball every time. It's like, what are you all doing? Bunch of clowns, a lot of them, honestly. But I think you made a good point a minute ago. I'm not sure if my audio and camera is out of sync for you as well. It looks out of sync for me.
No, you're good, mate. You're good. Looking good, mate.
No, thank you. What was I saying? See, compliments, can't handle them.
Mate, you were saying that I'd made a good point, but you can't remember what it was, so it can't have been that good.
No, about the formation, now I remember actually.
Yeah.
Because I think you made a good point. It doesn't really matter what formation he plays. I don't think playing a back 3 would have stopped us losing it yesterday. I can't even tell you playing a back 3 would have stopped us conceding 3 goals yesterday. Because all 3 of those goals, we had plenty of people defending. Like, we had plenty of people in the box. We had plenty of people just outside the box. They're not having enough defenders on the pitch wasn't the issue. Well, I guess out-and-out defenders, you would have had another out-and-out centre-back, I suppose. But that doesn't guarantee anything nowadays, does it, for us? But what bothers me, and it seriously bothers me, especially how Frank speaks after every defeat. He's like, oh, yeah, we need to try harder, work harder. It's not good enough. The basics, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, yeah, no fucking shock, because you keep playing the wrong players. And it's also like, it triggers me so badly. I'm like, okay, well, is it like, you know, me and Bertrand were talking about this in the group chat earlier, where because he said he even understands a little bit why the players aren't exactly up for it. And as much as that's frustrating as a fan, I get it as well. But that's why you need to not play those players, because Sterling, Kovacic, Kante, even Thiago Silva, all of those players, they're used to playing for wins, playing for trophies, winning all the time. Now, when there's nothing left to play for, the only thing they've got left to play for is, well, instead of coming 12th, coming, 9th maximum, which obviously we won't, but in theory, that's the best they can achieve. Okay, so they're not going to try as hard as they should. So why are you playing them? Play Mudryk, play Chukwuemeka, play, you know, Badiashile.
Mate, what's happened to Chukwuemeka, by the way?
Where's something to fight for, a career to fight for? Sterling's won enough. Kovacic just won enough. For them, these 4 weeks losing every game in Chelsea, that doesn't change anything. But for a Chukwuemeka, for a Mudryk, for a Badiashile, can change everything if they play well in those games and fight their way into the team. For them, this can change everything. So why wouldn't you use those players that will try? Best example yesterday being Noni Madueke. Like, look at how much better he was than pretty much everybody else.
He's our best player.
Something to fight for.
And they're hungry and they want to be here. Start of their careers. They've got a point to prove. I mean, every player's got a point to prove every time they step on the pitch. You know, you're only as good as your last game. You can't just keep dining out on what you've done in the past. Like, football's about the present and the now. And so many of these guys are living off past successes. And I don't know why they're getting picked. And when Lampard goes in the press conference a couple games ago, when he was asked about, are these younger guys going to play only if they deserve to? And I'm like thinking, well, if the team he's putting out are the guys that deserve to play, like, what are they doing in training to deserve to play?
You saw the proof of Madueke yesterday.
Like,
again, you can't tell me he didn't deserve it last time we played.
I mean, I don't know what Mudryk needs to do to deserve to play. Man, guy came on right, and within
Sterling to get injured is what he needs to do.
Within 2 minutes of coming on the pitch, he'd done more than Sterling had done in an entire 70 on the pitch. Like, Sterling had done nothing, gives the ball away, can't play a 5-yard pass. But at least Mudryk, like, he might give the ball away. He might have a slightly loose first touch every now and then. But at least he's direct. At least he's not afraid to get the ball. He's not afraid to take players on. He's not afraid to try and put a ball into the box. Like, it's just something. Like, it's something. And, you know, there's no excuses. I've said it since we got knocked out against Real Madrid. There's no excuses for us not to be playing players that are not part of the future. They can't play. I don't want to see a Aranyak. I don't want to see a Ziyech. Like, the Ziyech thing last night was a madness, right? How Felix has not been great since he's been here. Let's be perfectly clear, he's not. But the idea that we've paid 11 million for however many games it was, and he's been knocked out, he's been left out of the squad for the last few games. And then Ziyech, the guy that in August when we played Leeds away, fucked off on a flight to Amsterdam to try and get a move to Ajax, a guy that was milliseconds away from joining PSG, and yet he's still getting minutes on the pitch. Like, how are we coming to these conclusions? I just don't get it. And, you know, whilst you can't lay all the blame at Lampard's stall, he picks the players, he picks the team. Like, that is your responsibility. You know, you're picking these guys. Sure, like, Lampard's not stupid. Like, he's an intelligent guy. But, you know, I don't know how he can't see that we have to be playing the youngsters that deserve that are going to be part of the future and should be playing. Like, I don't get what he's waiting for. I mean, what do you think he's waiting for? What do you think he's trying to do? Because I guess only slight defense maybe is that when managers are in a tricky situation, they always tend to go for experience. But, you know, we're 6 losses in a row now. Just play the youngsters, play with the shackles off. Like, we can't get any shitter. Well, I say that. Hopefully we can't. But do you know what I mean? Like, there's no excuses for us not
we're
to be
to play Newcastle and City
and United.
Yeah, but I'm less concerned about United. They will beat us, obviously, because everyone will beat us. But Newcastle and City might beat us by double digits.
Mate, City could be a 6-0 easy. City is basically as many goals as they fancy scoring.
Exactly that.
But I mean, why do you think, mate, Lampard's not picking players that should be playing in the fans' eyes? Like, well, why do you think he keeps picking Sterling, for example, a guy that is horrendously out of form, has been shocking all season, yet still gets picked every single week? Why do you think he goes with him?
Well, my honest answer is there is no reason. But if I have to kind of make up a reason in my mind that I could imagine Frank making up in his mind, it's like, okay, he doesn't want to play only young players. He for his own sake, he wants to get a couple of wins. So he's like, okay, who are the guys that have won the most and have turned up on when it mattered? Kovacic, Sterling, etc., Kante, etc., etc. So, but the thing is, Frank, you're now 6 games in and you've lost every single one of them. And you've started most of these guys every single one of these games. So at some point, there has to come the realization where you're like, It's like yesterday, the realization seemingly came from Madueke. He said after the game that he will now start more. I'm like, well, 6 games too late, but better late than never, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, you know, that's the problem in and of itself, isn't it? But I'm not sure Chelsea fanatic if Hasenhüttl will be the solution. He might be better than Frank, but
he'd be better than Frank, yeah. But
my nan would be, so
yeah. It is just too late, isn't it? Like, I just don't know how we suddenly keep on getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah. That's the most worrying thing. I mean, Lampard speaks well, we know he does, but are you surprised, mate, that we've seen literally, we're not expecting miracles at all, but Are you surprised that A, these 6 games have been worse than anything we saw under Graham Potter, and B, that within a few games you should be able to see like a basic sort of tactical plan or a basic kind of patterns of play or a basic identity starting to be formed, and yet there's none of that. We just look clueless every time we're on the pitch. The guys look like they've never played with each other before. I mean, why do you think Lampard struggled so much to get an identity or just get some basic tactics across? Because you notice how in games, when he speaks, he never takes any responsibility on himself in terms of the tactics or the way he set the team up. It's always about, the guys are good lads. They don't want to lose.
He always just says they didn't do what we spoke about. I'm like, yeah, but what I want to know is, what did you speak about?
Yeah, well, what did they speak about? It's like that wasn't the plan. Well, obviously it wasn't the fucking plan to be 3-0 down after 35 minutes, but it happens every single week. So what is the, when we're going into games, what is the plan? Because I look at the way we've set up in recent weeks and I think we're going into games hoping for a 0-0. Brentford, a prime example, you set up with a 3-5, 3-6-1 effectively. And, you've had a week to prepare for that game. We don't score many goals as it is. And you've come to the conclusion that starting a side with one recognised attacking player, with Conor Gallagher and Kante supporting Sterling, was the best approach to the game. Yeah. I just don't understand what's going on there. Like, is Lampard really that stupid? Is he really that shit? I mean, the proof's there, mate. He's won win in his last 20 matches as a manager. If you take the 6 here at Chelsea and his last 14 at Everton. I mean, let's move on to Lampard, mate. Obviously he's not going to be sacked, but if you were in charge, would you get rid?
If Poch would agree to join now, yeah.
You think it'd be a good idea to throw Poch into this fire?
Yeah, because I think we're in a position where I don't think a bad result for Poch now would change anything, either for the fan nor for anyone. Everyone's aware we're screwed now. But what Poch could do and what Lampard can't do is look ahead. Yeah. And Poch being there is an automatic reason to try for all the players that are going to stay. Every single player that will want to stay, if they want to be in the team next year, and Poch is here, say tomorrow, they would have to start trying properly from tomorrow. Because otherwise, they might not have a spot. So just by that logic. And another thing that Poch could do is Poch could, in his mind, decide who he wants to keep, who he doesn't want to keep. And everyone he doesn't want, he could just split the group and solve the problem of the squad being way too big. It's harsh on those players, sure, but we've got 5 games left, 4 games left. It doesn't matter at this point, right? So just let them train separately. Do not include those guys in the squad anymore. Obviously, I know injuries hurt us as well. So we got about our squad is so huge. Well, we have about 5 injuries. So that already takes our squad to below 30s, just over 25. Currently, with injuries, not even actually that much too big. But still, and also, Poch could much easier than make a decision because, Lee Taylor in the chat, even if it was sarcastic, it was talking about, Mudryk, Havertz and Noni should start every game then. See, the whole Havertz thing is, Havertz totally depends on what Poch thinks. In terms of, does he want to keep Havertz or does he not? If he doesn't, then Havertz playing is equally as pointless as Aubameyang playing. I mean, sure, getting rid of Aubameyang will be easier, but so there is a chance that we might not want to keep Havertz, but we won't be able to sell him for the money we want. So there is a possibility of that, I suppose. But still, in theory, Poch can make the decision, do I want Havertz, do I not? And if he doesn't, just play Fofana. Not that he probably wants Fofana either, but at least he's young and we will not sell him but loan it.
Do you think if Poch did come in now, right, for example, and for these last 5 games, obviously he's not going to, but in a hypothetical situation, do you actually think we would win any games? Do you think he'd make that much of a difference coming into this now with 5 games to go? Do you think, he could actually suddenly get something out of these players that we've not seen all season? Or do you just think we'd be just putting him in there and realistically it might not make any difference at all?
Now, against Newcastle City and United, probably not. Just because of how bad our level currently is, I don't think so. But against Bournemouth, and in particular against Forest, I do think it can make a difference in us getting a win or a point. While now with Lampard, I think we will lose every game. So
yeah, mate, I said that when he was appointed. I thought we'd lose every game. Are you surprised that it's been worse than it was under Potter? I think there was a common consensus amongst the fans that Potter had to go. It got to a point where it was just so bad. But yeah, Lampard's picked up the baton and it's even
Made it
worse.
worse. Yeah,
And like,
made
do you
it
know,
much
like,
worse.
look, we weren't getting good results on the Potter by any stretch of the imagination, but we were actually creating quite a lot of chances in games. All right, we weren't taking them and we're still losing, but the chance creation under Lampard has just disappeared. Like it really has. We would create quite a lot of chances under Potter, but under Lampard, mate, there's none. There's absolutely nothing. I mean, how do you think he's managed to make it worse? Because I can't put my finger on it. I just don't understand.
See, at this point now, with how many games we're in, I'm not surprised. But when I was surprised is when we played Wolves and when we played Madrid first leg. That's when I was surprised because I was like, okay, maybe he manages to get a little, not a real manager bounce, but a bit of a motivation bounce. But that tells me everything that the media have told us, by the way, about how the squad didn't believe in Potter was complete horseshit. Because
rubbish.
Because if they didn't believe in Potter, well, then what's happening now? So that tells me they clearly did, because otherwise they would have already played as badly then, right? But then partly also, once we were knocked out by Real Madrid, I wasn't exactly shocked that it got this bad, except if we would play the young players. But we're not doing that. So I'm not at all surprised by that. But like I say, the first few games, then it did surprise me. But how he made it happen to make it that bad, I don't know. He changed things that he shouldn't have changed. He stuck to things that he shouldn't have stuck to. In terms of he changed how the fact that we constantly pump the ball long now. Our team hasn't done that in 3 years. Of course, they're not going to be good at it. Of course not. And half of the games, he did that while having Sterling as the striker. Or Aubameyang, who refuses to challenge any header. So, of course, a long ball isn't going to work if Sterling's your striker or Aubameyang, who doesn't even want to win a header, right? So that's why second half was a bit better yesterday, because we played constant long balls, but Havertz won 4 out of 5 of the headers he was part of. So, like, obviously that's going to change. Well, Aubameyang had 0 out of 1. The fact that Aubameyang in the whole first half, where we kept punting ball after ball after ball because we couldn't play ourselves out of the press, that shows you enough about the problem. So that's one issue in and of itself. The next issue was playing Reece James every game until Madrid second leg. That was stupid. Enzo constantly being the deepest midfielder. Now, okay, Potter did that as well, but Potter didn't do that in the midfield 3. So it was at least a bit of a back and forward, right? It was sometimes Kovacic stayed, sometimes Enzo stayed. It was a back and forth. Now, Lampard is almost every game playing a midfield 3 where Enzo is the deepest of the midfielders.
And it's no surprise that Enzo's poorest games for Chelsea have been the last couple, and he's been subbed off in them because he just looks completely uncomfortable.
Because he's dead tired.
Yeah, but he looks...
He started every single game since signing for us.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
And he's played 90 in the vast majority of them. But I don't think it's any... Look, he probably might be a bit tired, but I don't think it's any surprise that him operating as the deepest midfielder in a 3 has suddenly seen his performances dip a little bit. Like,
I'm not even sure if it's his performance as an individual necessarily dipping so much, because the whole team's dipped so badly that I'm like...
But he still looks decent, though. Well, even when we were playing shit, he was still looking.
But we weren't as shit, you know.
no, this is true. We weren't as shit. Mate, let's get into a bit of a. I've shared the wrong thing, which is a good start. Let's get into this Matt Law article that's dropped in the last hour or so. Really, just about recruitment and stuff. What are your thoughts on this, mate? That Chelsea want the majority of their clear out done before pre-season starts. Co-sporting directors Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart will be placed in charge of trying to cut the squad as quickly as possible. And it is understood Chelsea have already spoke to intermediaries about trying to help them find buyers. And a source said, selling these players will be much easier said than done. Look at how they've played this season and how much money they earn. Also, the markets that Chelsea have traditionally sold to in Italy and Spain now have financial issues. So, hey, do you think... I do think that's a fair point in terms of the fact that, all right, we know we've got a lot of players to sell, but, mate, all these players we're selling, they're pretty much at the lowest points in their careers. How much money are we really going to get for these guys? And what kind of takers are we going to get for them? Because it's not looking that good, if I'm being honest. Someone will take them probably. Well, I'd like to think so, but we're not going to get much money for them. And with the wages they're on here, it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because the whole wages discussion, like, I can't remember, I think it was also in Matt Law's article, but a different tweet, where they were talking about Ziyech being on high wages. I'm like, Ziyech just on 100k now is still quite a lot, I guess, but it's not like we're not talking Sterling here or Koulibaly here on 300 bags. But just to start with, the top of this, will be placed in charge Why haven't they long been placed in charge? Because, I mean, I know the manager situation, which is why they were so hesitant in sacking Potter, because these guys have other things to do. But this is why we need to so urgently get Pochettino finished.
Yeah.
So that they can actually start working on this, because it's May already. We should have been working on that since March, on where to sell players to. We should have been working on that for months. Now, maybe we have been, and, Matt Law doesn't word it that way or doesn't know. Who knows? But yeah, we need to get a lot of them. We need to get rid of a lot of them. I do think part of it is the media. They talk about everything that Bowley and co do. So they will talk every potential of them fixing issues. Also, they will also talk them down to be impossible to achieve. So I think we will be able to get rid of the players. Look at what we did with Lukaku. We are not scared to sell players under value. So we will manage to get rid of a lot of them. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. Now, the problematic part is that we need to get rid of so many by June 30th that I understand will be an issue. But at the same time, we're not in Europe next year anyway, and the whole Premier League financial rules work on 3-year cycles.
3-year cycle in it, yeah.
So just being really bad in the numbers this year doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have all sorts of punishments and sanctions against us instantly, right? So yes, for this financial year, if we want to balance those books, then we need to do it by June 30th. But no one said that if we don't do that, then we will be sanctioned and punished. No one said that yet. Everyone imagines that, but no one's actually said that. But yeah, no, it will be difficult to get rid of some of them, absolutely. But some of them will also be okay to get rid of. So, honestly, it's difficult for me to form an opinion on this, because it's like, well, how much money are these other teams going to have? How much are they willing to spend? How much are they? Because other clubs will also be aware that we've had an awful season, that I don't think they're going to buy or not buy our current players on the basis of this season.
Yeah, for sure.
Because other clubs would be stupid if that's how they thought about it. Right?
How important is it, mate? Do you feel that? Let's presume it is going to be Poch. God forbid he doesn't reject us, because otherwise we really are fucked. But do you think Poch should be having quite a big say in this as well? Do you think Winstanley and Stewart will be speaking to Pochettino, or when he does get appointed, be in conversations with him to say, look, what guys do you and do you not want? Because Pochettino might want. We don't, look, this is just speculative, but there is a chance that he might want some of the guys that they could be looking to get rid of. I'm not saying it's a definite, but there could be an outside chance potentially. I mean, how important for you is it that he does have a say in what players stay and what players go? Because ultimately, we're in a position now where we need him more than he needs us. We're desperate. We're at our lowest point we've been in many a year. And
this is by far the worst season ever. People talk it down, but because you got to put it into context with how much money we have, where we are as a club, what the expectations are. This is by far the worst season ever. Obviously, in February, I understood why some fans still compared the 15-16 season to now. We're way past comparing.
Mate, we're on 39 points. 39 points, right? And the 15-16 season was 51. That was our lowest. We're going to get nowhere near 51 points.
No, nowhere near. We're going to finish in 39, maybe 40.
Yeah.
Literally. So, but as for Poch, I think there should be, in terms of being able to have a say in which players to keep or not, I think some players should be non-negotiables, where he shouldn't even be asked the question. Your Aubameyangs, in my opinion, should be Aspie as well. But
yeah,
I've been hearing a few things that Aspie might end up staying, just seeing his
contract. He's got another year, hasn't he?
Exactly, which is exactly what I was concerned about last year. Why I wouldn't have given him a fucking contract at the time. But hey, here we are now. But yeah, Aubameyang, Ziyech, one of the wingers, Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic.
I think they all need to go.
No, they all need to go. But I'm saying there should be a few non-negotiables and a few where I'm if Poch says I'd rather keep them, all right, have him then. And where it's a bit undecided. Your Havertz, I don't know, maybe Chalobah, even though Chalobah, because of Colwell coming in,
maybe Loftus-Cheek or Gallagher.
Exactly, Loftus-Cheek. I mean, to be honest, Gallagher, in my opinion, falls in the non-negotiable category. Not because of him being that bad,
but he's got more money. He's got good value.
Exactly. We got offered 45 million for him by Everton. Yeah. So, and he's not been good, but he's probably been one of our better players in this second half of the season, or especially certainly since Lampard turned up. Let's say that
he's playing more regularly as well.
No, and that, right? So you could at least expect 40, 45 million for him. So, and getting 40, 45 million for Gallagher, you just need to accept that. Therefore, in my mind, it's a non-negotiable that he needs to be sold. But yeah, like you say, Ruben, Havertz, maybe a Pulisic, maybe Hudson-Odoi. I don't really know about that one. Maybe a Kovacic, if that is on the cards. But I think that might be more of a Kovacic decision than it will be.
I would actually get rid of Kovacic. I've had enough of him.
While I agree to some extent, I'm then concerned again. We need too many midfielders again then. Because we already desperately need a DM.
Kante's not signed his new deal yet, has he?
Sorry?
Kante's still hasn't signed yet.
And
so as far as we're concerned, come June the 1st, he's a free agent. Obviously, we still negotiate with him, but like the longer it drags on, because there was all that news a while back, saying that, Kante's definitely going to stay. He loves London, his preference is to stay, and they're really close to agreeing a deal. And now we haven't really heard anything about it for months.
Yeah, honestly, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't want to sign a new deal until he knows who the next manager is, at least. Which is totally understandable position to have from his perspective, in my opinion. But like I say, with Kovacic, let's even pretend that Kante will definitely stay. We still need a DM. We're all aware of that. Okay, but then if Kova leaves as well, do we already have his replacement? Of course, Enzo will then play higher, but Enzo shouldn't and won't play every game. Is it just Chukwuemeka behind him? Like, it depends on what formation we're going to play as well. What type?
We've got Andre Santos to come back.
I forgot about him, but will he really?
Like, we can't chuck him straight in. He's just not 19. 19 today or yesterday? Like, he's a good player.
Yeah,
but is it
even ideal to make him part of the first team immediately? Is that even smart? Should we maybe give him another loan in Europe?
Squad definitely. We can't expect to chuck in a 19-year-old kid that's only ever played in Brazil.
Oh, no, exactly. It would be like, of course, for our squad, we need it. But in terms of his development, maybe it would be better to give him actually one more loan somewhere in Europe this time before we bring him into our
in a top 5 league. Well, I think that,
exactly. Or even like to Eredivisie or something, get used to Europe a little bit or whatever. But like, again, I'm not 100% on that. If Poch says keep him, then keep him, sure. Like, around. But yeah, so Kovacic is another one of those where I'm like, it depends on him, it depends on Poch. I wouldn't be like, that Poch shouldn't have a say in this. He absolutely should. But there's a few ways he shouldn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like, you look at the... Mate, do you think in this clear out that we could see some players that we signed just in the summer could be sold on again already? I think there's become a big realization now that a lot of the business in the summer, whilst we were all well excited by it, I think there's probably a realization within the club that quite a few of these signings were a big mistake. I'm looking at Sterling. That was like, touted as the marquee signing. It was the first name that Thomas Tuchel give to the owners. Oh, we're so excited to get Sterling. It's been a fucking disaster. Mate, and it's been awful. I mean, Koulibaly's another one where you look at him and all right, he's improved in recent weeks, but that's another one where we were all really excited for it, but it's not really worked out. And like, obviously Cucurella's not been great either. Fofana's really the only signing in the summer that's actually
and he was injured for half the season.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, how many of those summer signings do you think realistically could be up for sale? I mean, I would
literally only Aubameyang.
Not even
up for sale. I think more of them could be, but I realistically don't think, unless we tell Koulibaly we want you to leave, then he might.
No chance of Sterling.
No, because he wants 325 bags a week, and no one's going to give him that.
Well, we did.
Well, yeah, but no one else is going to be so stupid after this season. And that's also one thing. That's why I'm much more critical of Sterling than I am of Koulibaly, because Koulibaly came from a different league. Koulibaly should be allowed a little bit of time to settle, especially with how much of turmoil the whole club was in. Yeah, Sterling came from the same league. He's only ever played in this league. There's zero excuse for Sterling to be as shit as he is.
Yeah, there is. The
same goes for Cucurella. Arguably, for Cucurella, it's even worse than for Sterling because he played under Potter for the whole season, who he knew.
So, yeah, I mean, Potter bought him to England as well from I think it was at Getafe.
Exactly that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe Cucurella, but
we're not going to get money.
I would love that. I would love that because I would much rather keep Martin than keep Cucurella and sell Martin.
I think Martin's another one that I think could be sold as well because it should be pure profit.
No, true. But in an ideal, smarter decision would be if you can sell Cucurella again, would be better to sell Cucurella and keep Martin, I think. I agree with you.
Mate,
We're probably not going to do that, but just
I don't know. It's tricky, mate. One thing I do want to quickly address. Obviously, we know that it looks like Lionel Messi is almost certainly going to leave PSG. We saw Todd was interested in Ronaldo, mate. Surely Messi to PSG, that number 10 could be freed up from Christian Pulisic. And do you think there's any chance we look at this Poch Argentinian manager Enzo Fernandez there as well? Mate, I'm trying to sort of drum something up, but it's not really happening.
I love Messi more than most, certainly more than most Chelsea fans, but even more than most normal people, right? But I don't even think it would be a good idea. Even aside from the fact that we can't get him anyway, I'm not even sure it would be a good idea. I don't want Messi to fly out to Saudi Arabia for the laugh of it without the club's permission next year at Chelsea. Absolutely no chance. But also, we're not in Europe. So what do we have that Saudi Arabia doesn't have? Rain? Yeah. Brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're apparently offering him, 320 million a year or something stupid?
Yeah, it's
We're not going to offer him that. So, why would he come to us without Europe? Maybe he would want to win the Prem, but are we going to do that? Obviously not. So, we're not the place to come, is it?
Mate, we need to. I think we need to steer clear of that sort of deal as well. I look at Messi now, and you watch him play for PSG, and no doubt he's a phenomenal player, but mate, he's a passenger. He's lazy. Doesn't defend, doesn't track back.
He's always been lazy. Him and Mbappe are still by far their best players and the only players that do anything useful for them.
He doesn't put the hard yards in either. He doesn't track back. He doesn't work hard. If a pass is not directly to him, he won't bother going for it. I'm not saying this is going to happen.
He's still playing an unbelievable season where he has more goal contributions than Erling Haaland, which is insane when you see the goal contributions Erling Haaland is having, and Messi still has more, but 10 or something, or 5 or whatever. So it's crazy. Obviously, a lot of that are assists. It doesn't have more goals, but overall. But yeah, we're not in a position where we need Messi. Messi's about the last thing we need right now.
Mate, that honestly, from purely from a fan perspective, it'd be wow, phenomenal. A bit like with the Ronaldo thing.
Yeah.
But when you actually look at it from a practical sense, it's one of the worst things we could possibly do
again, even if we wanted to do it, there's no way he would come. Why would he come here?
No, he wouldn't.
The only winning the Prem, like I said, but his only
we're not going to win the Prem.
Okay, want to win the Champions League again. He's not going. We're not in the Champions League, man.
Yeah, there's absolutely, for me, there's absolutely zero chance. But yeah, obviously that's going to be one that's now going to start doing the rounds. But yeah, I just look at it from that.
Watch Messi follow us on Instagram again.
yeah, exactly. I just look at that and I just think it's just a nonsense. It really is. We can't be looking to do shit like that. It's just it just doesn't.
Messi will go either to Saudi Arabia, or if Barcelona somehow find a way to afford him, he'll go back.
Have they got any more levers to pull?
Probably, to be honest.
Yeah, there's probably some. There are probably some. Mate, let's slightly steer it back towards the game last night. Where do you see Chelsea going from here, mate, in terms of the last 5 games of the season? Because we can't just let this fizzle out and just lose every game and just kind of fall over the line. What do you think we can do to at least try and win one of these 5 games? Man, I'd look at one win from the last 5 as a success. What do you think we need to do? Because whatever we're doing right now, it doesn't matter what system we try, what personnel we try, what Lampard tries to throw at it, nothing's working and nothing even looks like working. What would you do? Because obviously it's the obvious, let's start Mudryk, start Madueke. These guys have got to start. But, in terms of tactics, in terms of a basis of an identity, there's nothing there. So I honestly can't see or can't think what we can do that's actually going to make us win any games.
No. It's difficult. Honestly, I think, the problem is that a lot of the players that we want to play, they've never even played when we were last any half good, right? Because otherwise, to just play 3-4-3, the players are most used to that. But, Mudryk isn't, Madueke isn't, Enzo isn't. So, I guess it doesn't actually help that much. But then at least you would have some sort of memories of movement of what Tuchel taught them and go by that. But I don't want those players to play that are used to that. So I don't even know, honestly. I think it's honestly our best chance of doing anything is playing players that will try and have ability, right? So don't play Sterling, don't play Kovacic, don't play Aubameyang. okay, maybe play Havertz, maybe play Fofana. Realistically, Fofana, we know, isn't going to play. So it has to be Havertz, because I'd rather Havertz than Aubameyang for me. Play Madueke, I'd rather you play Chalobah at right back than you play Aspie, even if Chalobah will also leave. Play Badiashile. Honestly, Thiago Silva is 38. We should give him an extended summer holiday, quite frankly. We should say, mate,
take the rest of the season off.
Just take it off, take a holiday, it's fine. Do you know what I mean? I guess maybe meet Poch first and then go on holiday. Do you know what I mean? Because I was going
to say, Silva wasn't at PSG when Poch was there. No. I think he'd already left. Yeah, he had already left.
He did. So yeah, but in terms of tactically, I don't see. I'm not sure if tactics is what's going to change anything at this point, because okay, let's pretend new tactics that Lampard can come up with.
Lampard's not got tactics. Lampard doesn't do
even
tactics.
Aside from that, like let's pretend Lampard could. Even then, there's not enough time for him to implement anyway.
No.
So even if he could do new tactics, there's not enough time to make them work. Old tactics, well, Lampard doesn't understand how Potter wanted to play. Otherwise, I think he would have done that already. So that's not an option. Maybe best shout is asking Bruno to come back.
Mate, what's happened to Bruno, by the way?
Mate, on the website,
on a separate note. Is he still listed on the website?
Apparently, I saw it today on Twitter. So
what's going on? What's going on there then?
Well, to be honest, I think they probably just failed to update the website more so than that or that we're still paying him like Bayern are still paying Nagelsmann. That type of logic. But
yes, it is a strange one. Incredibly difficult to motivate a group of players with nothing to play for. I think it is. But
I mean, it's true. But this is why you need to play the young players who have something to play for.
Yeah, it is, because these more established pros have got no motivation to do well. I mean, I always think as a footballer, like it's a dream job. Every time you step on the pitch, you should be motivated. I can't understand why, as a Premier League footballer,
but not if you're losing every game.
No, that's tough. And if I suppose it's different. It's hard to get up for work if you're going and you're shit at your job every single day. That's going to be pretty tough. And
especially if all your co-workers are also shit at their job. Not just you, but everyone there is just shit.
but it's not a good environment either. Like I mean, I can't imagine what it's like turning up to Cobham every day. It's like we're shit. Like, I mean, we're too easy to play against. We're soft. Well, why aren't we doing anything about that? If you guys know that and you're all saying it after the game, why are you doing nothing to rectify that? Why are you doing nothing to put that right? Like, what are we doing here? We're saying this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, yet we're doing absolutely nothing to change any of the things that are wrong. So, like, it's the same thing. Like, Lampard speaks well, and he comes out after the game and he says the things. It's like, yeah, I do agree with most of the things you say. Why are you doing nothing to try and sort those things out? Like, why? And if you are
Zula,
doing
by
something,
the way, in the chat, if Kepa did the tactics, would be about 10 times better. That's what I'm flipping sure. Because Kepa would make sure no one would shoot from distance anymore.
Well, mate, no one shoots anyway, so
no. That we would stop the opponent from shooting from distance. So he can't concede long shots. He will make sure of that.
But there's just like I just don't get it. Like, what Lampard is it's not all his fault. It's not, but like he's not doing anything to try and rectify any of the things that are wrong. And like, I mean, look, I was happy with Lampard coming in terms from a sort of, I guess, from a romantic perspective. And I guess from the situation we were in as well at that point in time, you think, well, who are we going to get for 10 games? That you need someone that's like a friendly face, knows the club or knows the fabric of the club and whatnot. There wasn't really that many other options. But once kind of that sort of faded and the matches started coming and he realised how poor a manager he is, all that quickly faded away. And as you say, mate, we're not expecting like a massive bounce, but you expect some sort of freshness, like, or something when you when someone new comes in. You expect something. You expect to bounce, even if it's for like 1, maybe 2 games. You expect that.
I mean,
there's been nothing.
Potter bad, and the results weren't great, but Potter was unbeaten for 10 games.
First 10 he was, yeah. But obviously, I'm not expecting Lampard to come in and be unbeaten like that. But you would expect to bounce. You would expect like a lift.
People told me Potter's the worst manager in the world. So why shouldn't I expect that of Lampard?
Yeah, I mean, a lift for like at least a couple of games, like a bit of a motivation, a bit of a buzz. Lampard's first game, Wolves away, one of the worst I've ever seen. Like, and
It's
you think, well,
ridiculous.
why is there no bounce? Why is there no nothing? Like, I don't really know. I mean, like, do you look at this, and it's easy to look back now, but do you think this was a bit of a PR appointment, a bit of a fan pleaser, because they'd done so much wrong and the fans were getting on their back? Oh, let's do this and let's bring this guy back because that will appease us a little bit. And the only reason why Lampard's not taking like abuse from the stands or boos and whatnot is because of what he's done in his playing days. That's it.
Yep. No, exactly that. See, I'm still not sure what their logic was, because I thought they sacked Potter after Nagelsmann got sacked because they wanted Nagelsmann. Then it turns out they weren't, like, maybe some people in the club wanted Nagelsmann, but not everyone. And it was most certainly not a situation of, okay, we're getting Nagelsmann now. It was a case of, okay, let's see who the best manager is. Do you know what I mean? Loads of waffle. Then you have Bruno in charge for one. Lampard was at that game. And I genuinely believe that because the reaction by the fans in the ground and social media after, that's why they appointed Lampard. If Lampard wasn't at that Liverpool game, I'm not even sure if we would have appointed Lampard. Genuinely.
Yeah, so
maybe we would have.
maybe.
Maybe we wouldn't. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, it was reported at least that had an impact. And it was most certainly to please fans, which is the big issue, which is, well, people blame Bowley and stuff. Bowley has did a lot of Clear Lake, whatever, all of them. But do you not realize that all of this, as fans, bad Bowley. This is why Bowley did half of the things that he did that you now think are wrong, because you stupid idiots constantly just complain and moan about everything. And this is what got Potter sacked, and now we just made it worse. And here you are now. Do you know what I mean? You know, I mean, George Harris said, other than a good feel-good factor, what realistically can influence in 8 games? This is why we shouldn't have brought an interim manager in.
Yeah.
But half the fan base still thought it was a great idea. But if everyone realized it, like George claims he did from the get-go, well, then no one should have wanted Lampard, because then it just makes no sense to a point. Whether it's Lampard or Manan or Gus Hiddink himself, doesn't matter. You shouldn't have anyone.
From a football perspective, it made no sense. From a footballing perspective, which is the only perspective that should realistically matter, it made no sense to appoint Lampard. That's the reality of the situation. And yet,
and where is the feel-good factor, by the way, George?
There was no feel-good factor. I suppose the feel-good factor.
We didn't even have it for fucking Wolves. We didn't even have it for the first game once the lineup came out.
I guess the feel-good factor was like the social media stuff, the fans kind of, you know, romanticizing.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. It didn't even last one game.
No, it didn't last one game. As soon as we kicked off against Wolves, that was it. Exactly. You know, you get a few Super Frank chants here and there now, but you know the reality of the situation is just like that. That's all worn off, and you know I don't think it's not had the desired effect they were looking for. I'm not sure what effects they were looking for. They would have been under no illusions that, you know.
Do you think they were looking for any effect? I think they were.
They surely must have been.
Yeah, but I thought, okay, they thought the fans turned so much on Potter, and they also didn't believe in him anymore anyway. So they were like, okay, rather than wait until the end of the season, let's get rid now. Then they were like, okay, now we need a new manager, but we want to get it right. So we're going to take our time in making this decision. Okay, Bruno took the Liverpool game, but actually doesn't want to be here until the end of. Doesn't want to be here until the end of the season. Okay, so what else can we do? I still think John Terry would have been a better decision than Frank, to be honest, just because he would have been just within the club and everyone would have been aware he's not a full-on manager.
Yeah.
But he was just the character. While Lampard was character, but also comes in as this manager. So yeah, for the fans, that's what they wanted. And they didn't realize it would get worse. They didn't realize that. They didn't understand.
But surely we must have, I mean, I realized, I'm sure you realized, and people would have realized. But like, I think a lot of people I don't think they realized. They just got caught up in the romanticism and thought, "Oh, this would be better." It just hasn't. It's been worse. And like, anyone that says it's not been worse is wrong. Like, it's as simple as that.
Other than maybe Southampton at home, maybe Spurs away.
These 6 games have been some of the worst.
But at a push, these 6 games, well, let's say especially the league games and the
league
Madrid away game. Were worse than anything we did on the Potter all season.
Yeah, they have been. They have. It's simple as that.
And we had half the injuries or none of the injuries compared to what Potter had for half the season.
Yeah. I mean, and this is what I mean. This is what it goes back to in terms of, look, we've had to rush this ownership through. We've had to, we've had to do it very quickly, whereas normally we'd like a bit more time to transition into it. We haven't had that time. And I think the intentions are great there from Bowley and co. They've just tried to change too much too soon. and they're now paying for those mistakes. And I think the biggest mistake was not having a sporting structure in place before sacking Tuchel, before doing a summer window. Those are some of the biggest mistakes.
You can't really blame them too much for them, because imagine they didn't sign anyone in the summer, but there was just no time to appoint a sporting structure before. But what was stupid is sacking Tuchel and appointing a new manager before having a sporting structure, because we still don't know who even recommended them to hire Potter. Now, all of football England agreed that Potter was the next big thing, so wasn't a stupid decision. Obviously, in hindsight, it didn't work out, but at least if you had a sporting structure in place, then you could find the blame within them and not just be like, well, that was wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but they've made a few mistakes, and we have had to rush it through. But you like to think now with most of the stuff in place that we're going to see less of these poor decisions. And we have to. We do have to. I mean, in a hypothetical, where do you think we would have been had Tuchel stayed? We wouldn't have made top 4. We definitely wouldn't be 12th, I don't think. No. But I mean, how do you think it would have done? Because it was pretty poor but it was pretty poor from him as well. Let's be real. Like we weren't doing well. So I mean, I think maybe we might have qualified for the Europa League, possibly. No chance to be top 4.
No. It's tough to say, because obviously, let's pretend we didn't sack him. Okay, but do we also pretend that the relationship between Tuchel and Bowley wasn't bad? Right.
Yeah.
So let's just pretend they never sacked him. So who knows how bad that could have got, because you might have had Tuchel constantly firing at Bowley in press conferences, but Bowley still not sacking. Like, who knows, right? Tuchel could have done what Conte did this season. We don't know. So who knows how badly it could have gone, but most certainly, I don't think in terms of results, it would have ended the way it has. Most definitely.
Yeah. But it is mad as well, isn't it? That like the 11 points that we got under Tuchel at the start of the season, you take those away, we've got 28.
To be fair, it's true. We might not have got out of the Champions League group stage.
Yeah, we got what? We got take Tuchel's 11 points away, and we're in the drop zone.
10 points, yeah.
Yeah, whatever he got. And like, mate, do you know since October or end of October, we've picked up 18 points. We're in that's relegation form. We'd be 18th, mate, if the league started in October.
To be honest, I'm surprised that there was anyone worse than us in that period, quite frankly.
Mate, mad. A couple of teams worse. Not by many points, but a couple of teams that were worse. Let's rattle through some ratings then. By the way, guys, keep smashing the likes on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Almost at 3K subscribers now, not far away. So keep smashing the subscribe button, people. You know, it doesn't take you long. It's free and it really helps me out. So would massively appreciate that one. Let's get into some ratings. Mate, let's start in goal.
Yeah.
Kepa.
Yep.
What did you make of the Odegaard, the first one? Because I've seen a lot of stills on Twitter. And still screenshots and stills or whatever make things look worse than they are. Do you think with that first Odegaard goal, it's Kepa and the long shot, it's that thing again? Is he to blame for that, do you think?
To be honest, I'm even bored of having a conversation, because so many people that talk about goalkeeping, I feel like you've never even stood in goal before. Yeah. Like, Odegaard smashed that ball over 100 k's an hour, and you're like, oh, I should have saved it. Fuck off. Like, just fuck off.
It's like that. It's like that.
Get someone that's half decent at shooting a ball, shoot at you from 20 yards against the direction of your run, and you try to stop it. And obviously, yes, you're not a professional goalkeeper, and you're not earning the money that Kepa is, and you're not the most expensive goalkeeper in history. I'm totally aware. Could he have done better? Yes. But to say it's all his fault, it's just stupid. Just get in the bin. If you want to blame anyone, blame Kovacic for running past Odegaard, completely ignoring that he's fucking stood there.
And Sterling just letting him run onto it.
Yeah, wasn't Sterling the second goal? I think Sterling was a fault for the second one.
Kovacic was it the second one? What was that one where there was the screenshot? And like, I think it's the first goal where I can't remember who assists it, but like you've got about 4 or 5 players standing between the crosser and Odegaard.
That was the second one.
And it evades all of them.
Yeah, I think that was the second one. I mean, to be honest, the first goal wasn't too different, but Odegaard shot from further out. But yeah, like I say, so I probably would have given Kepa, like, I still think he could have done a bit better for that goal, sure. But he also made some very good other saves. 1v1 against Xhaka, that's a strong save. A cutback from Saka, he intercepted, blocked, whatever, really well. So, you know, Brent will hate it. But I probably would have just given Kepa a 6. But because it's nothing to do with the goalkeeper, what's happening.
No.
0. We can't keep possession. We can't string more than 5 passes together. We don't understand how to defend at all. Like, the third goal wasn't Kepa for sure. What was the third goal even?
Oh, that was the Jesus one where we
No,
just...
I know, but how could it possibly be Kepa's fault?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe I need to watch it back. Honestly, I can.
Mate, I've not even watched it back because it was too depressing.
No, for you, even more difficult then. How can it be Kepa's fault? Didn't Kepa save the ball? And then
it was a bit of a
Jesus.
scramble, wasn't it? Yeah, and he just
So, but there was 2 centre-backs in front of Kepa. Fofana, and Aspie. So 2 defenders, not centre-backs.
Well, 1 defender, really. Aspie's not really serviceable these days.
He gave up the rebound, but he was shot at from 2 yards. What do you mean he gave up the rebound? Again, maybe I need to watch it back. But from my initial memory, I'm like, what? But yeah, I probably would have just given him a 6. But at the end of the day, honestly, I wouldn't even give the goalkeeper rating because, like, what do I do with you? Okay, you made 6 saves, 3 of them were good. You conceded 3 goals, though. How many do I think you were at fault for? Fully, none of them. Could have done better for maybe the first one. Apparently, maybe the third one. I'm not sure. Give it somewhere between a 5 and a 6. I don't care, honestly.
I'll probably go 5.5. I think that's that's probably fair. He's not as bad as what. Look, absolutely not good enough to be Chelsea's long-term number 1 if they're going to be challenging for the Premier League. Of course he's not. But this constant kind of scapegoating of Kepa, I just like...
It's just so boring to me. It
is boring. We know he's not that good, but like, it's not... Every time we let a goal in, it's not his fault.
Been the least of our issues.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's move on to Azpilicueta. It's 2023 and he's still starting. Not really sure what's going on here.
Well, Reese's injury is going on.
He worked hard. He put a shift in. I'll give him that. Mate, he's just not good enough for this level anymore. Not to be playing week in, week out. And it's a little bit sad to see because he's been so good. But at the same time, it's just like, fuck me. Like, no wonder we got problems here. Saka up against him, Martinelli, Jesus.
Sorry, Anthony, to interrupt you. So Brent is blaming Kepa that the ball went under his legs when Gabriel Jesus shot from 3 yards away into the ground. See, I'm not sure if you're aware, Brent. Maybe look down. You will see something called legs, right? You will see that they are there. So if you want to spread yourself wide as a goalkeeper to stop the ball from going in, look down and see what happens. There's a gap between your legs. Someone is shooting from 3 yards. What the fuck is he supposed to do about it? He doesn't even know where Jesus is going to hit it. Left, right, high, low. You don't know. What is this? Sorry.
Mate, I would bring it up on the screen. I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Yeah, exactly. And then, otherwise, we're bringing up screenshots again, which tell fuck all.
Yeah, they do. Let's get it back to Aspie. What were your thoughts on him, mate? He's just not cut out for this level. I mean, he didn't get torn to shreds by Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, like I thought he was going to, but they did have the better of him most times. Didn't defend particularly well.
All 3 of the goals had Aspie involved. Twice he didn't stop the cross, and on the third one, he was involved in the.
No, you're not wrong, mate. They all came down that side.
Yeah, literally every single one of them. So I yesterday gave him a 1. A 1 for trying, and the 1 he made 2 very good tackles in the box second half.
I think a one for effort is probably fair.
Yeah, no, exactly that.
Exactly. Mate, what about Fofana? Probably our best signing from the summer, as we touched on earlier. I'm not sure I like him in a 4. I'm not saying it's terrible, but I just think he looks a lot more comfortable in a 3.
I think if you give him an actual right back, he'll be fine no matter the formation. But
yeah, also, if James is there, it's a bit different.
Sorry to interrupt you again. I just find it. I don't want to judge any of these players on you are good at this or you are not good at this with our form and with what's happening. Fofana could be amazing in a back 4, but currently he wouldn't be amazing in no matter what he does. No matter what any of them do. Even Thiago Silva isn't looking good.
No, he was not looking his normal self, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, and Aspie nearly scored an own goal 2 minutes in.
No, he did, didn't he? Yeah.
He had it back at Kepa straight into the path of the Arsenal player. That was a shambles. But yeah, I gave Fofana 3 yesterday. Not sure if you'd agree with that. But
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. It wasn't his
I
best.
could say 2 easily, but
it wasn't his best. Silva again. I think like he's maybe not been as good last night. I don't know if the level of shit around him or just the level of how shit we are is affecting him. But he defended pretty well. That was that really calm clearance off the line from a header in the second half, which stopped it from being 4.
yeah.
Other than that, there wasn't too much to do. But I mean, what did you make of him? I mean,
he looked the most capable of a bunch, but still not very capable. So I gave him a 4 yesterday. I'm not sure if you'd agree with that. Just
yeah,
better than Fofana,
4. I think he was
wouldn't have
better than
gone any
Fofana. I mean, the defense wasn't good yesterday. When you get torn apart and you're 3-0 down inside like 35 minutes, you've not defended well. It's as simple as that. Like there's no other way of dressing it up. But yeah, Silva, he's going to be here next year. Whether he'll play as big a part as he has this season, who knows? But yeah, I think that he wasn't great, but we know how good he is, and he'll be an important part of that back line next season under Pochettino. What do we think of Chilwell then? Because I've looked at Chilwell, and I think it's fair to say, because there's a bit more evidence of it, Chilwell at left back's nowhere near as good as Chilwell at left wing back. He just isn't.
Yeah,
yes, he got forward well for that attempt that Ramsdale did pretty well to keep out, but otherwise, mate, just the difference between Chilwell left wing back and Chilwell fullback is it's light and day. I'm not sure. I don't want to say he can't play this position because that's ridiculous. He could, but he'd need to maybe relearn it or something along those lines. Because looking at Chilwell, and he was awful yesterday, and it's no surprise that his shit games for us have come in a back 4. And as soon as we played back 3s, he's looked much better.
What would you have given him yesterday?
Man, I thought it was shite. I probably would give him 2.
I can't remember. I think I gave him a 4 yesterday, and maybe some people think that's too high now. But to me, other than like Chilwell after Madueke was probably the player of the ones that started that looked the most like doing something and trying to do something. Now, Saka didn't do anything all game. Yeah, he got past Chilwell a couple of times, but only in situations where Chilwell slowed him down enough that the defenders or goalkeeper behind him could then deal with whatever Saka still had to do or offer comfortably. So, when you compare left side to right side, how much threat happened through Aspie and how much threat happened to Chilwell, I'm like, well, I barely even noticed Saka existed in the whole game, really. So, can't have been that shocking from my end. And had our only chance in first half, which he created on his own, basically. And then in the second half, he did the same thing again once, but then unfortunately his follow-up cross was absolutely shocking. So that was a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
But hence why I would have given him like a 4. I don't think he was worse than Thiago Silva, honestly. Like Thiago Silva cleared one off the line, sure. Chilwell had our only attack in the first half. But no, it's fine. I'm not saying everyone has to agree with me.
But what do you think of in a 4 though? Because if we're going to adopt a 4 long term, I love Ben Chilwell. I think he's class. But if we're going to adopt a 4 under Pochettino for the long term, do you think Chilwell can be effective for us in that conventional left back slot?
I think so. I know where you're coming from in terms of that he doesn't look good there, and I see that. But ever since we signed him, we've not played a back 4 that's actually worked. He obviously was signed in Frank's second season, so then he got sacked. And then we changed to a back 3 and played a back 3 also for the most part on a Potter for the last 3 seasons. So therefore, I'm like, in a functioning team that plays a back 4, I think Chilwell will be absolutely fine. Won't be a problem. But in a non-functioning team, everyone is a problem. Reece James looked dreadful as a right back. He
didn't look good.
That doesn't mean Reece James is bad and can't play right back. It just means we are not currently so bad as a whole team that no one can do anything. Do you know what I mean?
Doesn't defend. But yeah, maybe. Would you think he's all? I don't think he's awful defensively.
No, I think this is a complete stigma and stereotype that people have created over the last 3 years. And now, no matter what he does or doesn't do, this is him, and nothing will ever change that again in the minds of the people. It's like with Jorginho, it's like with Sarri. It's just how Chelsea fans are. They make their mind up about
Chelsea fans.
This is why that's what triggers me. When like Chelsea fans are, why can Brighton find the Mitomas and the Caicedos and the this and the that? I'm like, well, see what's happening this season? That's why. Because when we sign young players and they are not amazing instantly, our fan base writes them off as dreadful and we don't ever want to see them again.
Mate, do you know
That's
what's
why we
mad,
can't
right?
sign gems and make them great, because our fan base doesn't allow that.
Mate, some fans were booing Jorginho last night.
Chelsea fans?
Yeah.
Not shocked, am
I was a bit surprised.
How were they booing him? Like when he had the ball or when he was...
No. Not when he had the ball. I think more he came over at the end to like applaud the Chelsea end.
Oh yeah.
There was a few boos. It wasn't like massive boos or whatever, but there was a few.
There was a few Jorginho chants as well, though, or was that Arsenal fans?
I think that was Arsenal.
Okay.
I think
because I heard it on TV and I was like, surely Arsenal fans aren't going to chant that. So I thought it was Chelsea, but I mean, you were there, so you would know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I can't completely remember, but there were definitely a few. There were definitely boos when Sterling got subbed off as well, in terms of,
and rightly so.
Yeah, right, and rightly so. Enzo, mate, we discussed him earlier. Deepest role in a 3 doesn't really suit him. Got subbed off. I mean, it's not the end of the world, that. But yeah, I thought it was quite. I'll be honest, I thought it was poor last night. Yeah. I barely noticed him. I mean, I don't know what it's like. I don't know if it was any different watching on the TV, but I barely noticed him. Like he just didn't really do anything. Gave the ball away. It was quite easy to get past him. We just have no structure midfield. Them 3. You look at those 3 players. It's good, doesn't it?
It should be a great midfield, but actually they have no idea what they're doing. First, Kante presses, and then there's a huge gap between Kante and the next guy, and then they easily play through that. Then either Enzo or Cover pushes up, then there's another huge gap, and then the last one pushes up, and then there's the next huge gap to the defense. They have no idea how to play. Zero clue. I gave Enzo yesterday a 3. It could be a 1, it could be a 2, it could be a 3. It doesn't really matter. I was
going to give him a 3. Mate, what do you think Enzo's best position is then?
No, I think it's an 8. It's a box-to-box. It's not an attacking 8. It's just an actual 8 that will do a bit of both. That's his best position, and we need to use him as that. Would you then liken him in profile to what Bellingham is? That sort of I'd say Bellingham's probably a bit more offensive and like...
Yeah, because Enzo doesn't score that many goals, does he? Really? No. Whereas Bellingham
will probably get to do that more if we ever start allowing him to be at 8 regularly.
Yeah.
But at the best of time, he should be the more offensive of a double pivot. But what he most certainly should not be is the deepest in a midfield.
6, yeah.
That's the last thing he should be.
Just very quickly on Bellingham, mate. What are your thoughts on him going to Madrid?
I don't like the guy. So.
Fair.
He's pissed me off with how he acted. First, he nearly broke Reece James's leg, and then he starts pushing around Cucurella after the final whistle. I'm like, you little dirty brat. Like, just thinks he's the big one after moving to Dortmund at 17 and being the big guy there. And now he thinks it's okay to push players after the final whistle. I'm like, grow up, you stupid little shit. I hate him, honestly. Since then, I really despise the guy. So I'm just happy he's not in the Prem now. I'm like, do you do at Madrid? Like, he's an amazing player, wonderful footballer. But yeah, I'm just glad I don't have to watch him.
Talking of like just on him and talking of transfers and shit and succession planning, how phenomenal is that from Real Madrid to go from Modric, Casemiro, and Kroos to Bellingham, Camavinga, and Tchouaméni?
Unbelievable, honestly.
And they got Valverde in the mix as well.
Yeah, I mean it's easy for them, right? Because they had the other 3 for like 10 years, so it's easy to figure out a succession plan when you have 10 years of the same player.
Yeah,
like we never have the same players for 10 years because 2 years in we realize actually these are not very good.
Yeah, so. Yeah. But I mean, it's mad to go from that to that. Like you have the best midfielder in the world, basically, and now you like roll.
I don't really think they properly replaced Casemiro in that, if I'm honest. But in terms of stylistically, because I think Tchouaméni is a great player and is at the end.
Yeah, I think Camavinga is phenomenal
style
as well.
Of DM to what Casemiro is.
Yeah, a little bit different. Tchouaméni's not more. I'd say Camavinga's more of a Casemiro's maybe more of a destroyer type.
Yeah.
Whereas Tchouaméni's a bit more.
Exactly, and Modric and Kroos needed a destroyer behind them with the type of players they are. But maybe with Camavinga, Bellingham, Valverde, maybe they need a little bit less of that clear destroyer.
But I think it's a smart move for Bellingham though to go to Madrid. I think it's very good from his.
It might be a bit early, but where else is he going to go? Right?
Well, it would have gone to Man City. I mean, there's still time to do that.
It would have been a big step regardless. I mean, Man City would have been a good step as well. Let's be honest.
Yeah, of course it would have.
Imagine they replaced Gundogan with Bellingham.
Well, it would just be a joke, Bellingham and Haaland on the link up. But it is what it is. And let's move on to Cover, mate.
Yeah.
Thought it was shit. He just ran around, and that was about it. And like I know that Kovacic is a good midfield player, and he's been good for us. But I know he pops up with the occasional goal here and there, and I know Pice loves him and that. But I just look at Kovacic and I think you don't contribute any assists. You very rarely score. What are you doing in that midfield,
mate? I don't understand what he does. The assist was amazing. The assist was. I'm like, this is what frustrates me about Kovacic, because I see him make an assist like that. I'm like,
but
that makes me even more angry that you're so shit most of the other time.
Yeah, well,
the fact that you can do this and just choose to basically never do it. Yeah, he was poor. I would say no, not too different to Enzo in the grand scheme of things.
We give him a 3.5, maybe 4, because he got a decent assist.
I literally said 3.5, same as Enzo, plus 0.5 for the assist. That's what I would have gone. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, yeah, the assist was good. Just about again, I don't know what he offers in terms of like, because he rarely assists and he rarely scores. So what is he? What is he offering? I'm not really too sure. I think it probably is time to move on from him.
To be fair, Toni Kroos doesn't have that many assists or that many goals either.
No, but at least but you know what? Yeah, but you know what he does though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing, because Kovacic's best attribute was always dribbling past the press and therefore allowing us space in attack. But because he just stopped doing that completely, he's now completely, like Aubameyang, a waste of space, literally.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do the thing you are best at, all you do is sideways passing. But not even good sideways passing like Jorginho used to with a plan to it. He just passes it to where he doesn't lose the ball. That's all he does.
Madueke is not an 8. Oh no! No one's going to say that Madueke is an 8. He definitely is.
A rating.
Oh, a rating. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant as an 8, as in like a box to box.
Yeah, I thought that initially as well. But no, he's not getting an 8 of a rating from me. I don't know what Charlie, but
no, I wouldn't have given him an 8. But yeah, Kante, mate. Again, I love Kante, but I don't understand why there's an obsession with him having to be like an advanced midfield player.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't understand it. Like, by all means, like, you can get forward a bit, but why am I seeing Kante as the most advanced guy linking up with Madueke down that side?
Especially when we don't even actually press anyway. So then it's even more stupid than it is anyway. Like, I actually thought Kante was the worst of the lot, which is crazy. Now, maybe I should kind of let him off a little bit more, because obviously I know the Liverpool game was amazing, but that was just crazy. But he was still out for 7 months or whatever, 8 months.
Yeah, he was out for a long time.
Maybe we shouldn't be too harsh on him not being great, but his decision-making is awful. His touches are awful. He doesn't really get into tackles. Kovacic was in 10 duels yesterday, only won 4. But Kante only was in 4 and only won 1 of them. Kante. Yeah.
But surely you'd really want Kante doing what Kova was doing yesterday, and then Kova being a bit more of an advanced guy linking up with Madueke, because Kova's got more technical ability, you'd say, than Kante does.
No, exactly. And even if Kova's decision-making in the final third is also poor, and he still feels like he has more of an idea what to do there.
But he's more likely to get it right, I'd say.
Yeah, no, exactly. But you know how we go back? If we go back to like the Sarri season, when Sarri started using him as this box-to-box 8 in the midfield 3, and I mean the fan base and pundits on TV for the whole year were shouting about how he's at the end, why is he not playing as the deepest of the lot, and because of Jorginho and everything. So sure, when you had Jorginho and you had Kante, it made sense to play it like that. But when you now don't have Jorginho, as much as Kante isn't a real DM, I still think it would make more sense to play him there than it does to play Enzo there. I still think it just like Kante isn't perfect for this, absolutely. But surely just play him deeper, and then at least that would allow Enzo to actually be involved in creating, because Kante can't do a more useless job than Enzo is in terms of dictating play, because we're not dictating anything or anyone. It doesn't matter if it's Arsenal, Brentford, Brighton. It doesn't matter who we play. Don't dictate nothing. So surely then just sit Kante a bit deeper might help us stealing a couple of balls at the edge of our box. Maybe Kante will help stopping a few long shots to save Kepa, because that's what Kante is good at. But it allows Enzo to be a bit higher. But I would have given Kante like a 2 or 2.5.
Mate, what do you think on this question here? Because I think that Enzo can easily play in that 2 as the more advanced in a pivot.
Exactly. He doesn't need to be an 8, but he just doesn't. He just shouldn't be the more defensive of a midfield. He can be part of a midfield too. That's what he did for Argentina for the most part during the World Cup.
He was with McAllister, wasn't he?
Yeah, and the Paul was kind of partly out wide, and then off the ball came in the middle
to the right, wasn't he? Yeah,
but off the ball he was a midfield.
So he tucked in, yeah.
And at Benfica he was part of a double pivot as well, but he wasn't the deeper one. Like he was at times when he dropped to dictate play. And when we're in a position where we need to break down a low block and whatever, and sometimes Enzo dropping a bit deeper to then chip the ball from further back, that's okay. But he shouldn't generally be the deepest midfielder, especially when we're getting dominated left, right, center by everyone we're playing against. Then you just shouldn't play him there.
No, you shouldn't. I mean, let's move on to Madueke, mate. The only that I thought a guy that was bright, was good, got his first goal for the club. What'd you make of him? I just wish we'd seen more of him earlier. Because he's obviously a talent, he's still raw, but at least his heart's in it. He's the fight's there, the desire's there. He's here for the long term. He wants to be here, and we saw a really good performance from him. I mean, I'd probably give him I don't want to go too high. I was maybe thinking 6.5 or 7.
I would have just gone a straight 6, but
yeah.
I'm okay with it. Like, you know why, though? Because the goal was great. I thought the touch was great. I thought the finish was smart. I think he absolutely meant that. The way he hit it into the ground to make it bounce. I thought it was a very smart finish.
But yeah.
No, absolutely. But obviously there was also still negatives, especially in our own defensive third when he received the ball, a couple of touches straight to the Arsenal player, a couple of passes straight to the Arsenal player, a couple of him and Aspie trying to link up, him and Kante trying to link up, like it just failing miserably. That was partly him. But the longer the game went on, the better he got. He was the only one that didn't look scared of doing something, tried to take people on, looked confident, tried something. Not always successfully, sure. But the guy's 20 and has come from the Eredivisie and has barely gotten a chance. This is, again, I can only reiterate, this is why he should be playing and not Sterling and not Ziyech. Give the kid a chance, and that will mean we have a better player next season, the more chances he gets now.
Yeah, mate, 100%. Moving on to Sterling, mate, I think this one's quite easy. I'll probably give him 0.
Mate, he doesn't even deserve a rating.
Mate, just a flat 0. Simple as that.
Literally.
Absolutely shocking. We've touched on him before anyway. We don't need to really say too much more about him. Aubameyang, mate, I think exactly the same. 0. He was awful.
We made up something new for Aubameyang yesterday. We gave him a 0+ because we're like, obviously he was dreadful, had only 15 touches and was awful from top to bottom. But this was also his first start since the last time we played against Arsenal. So I'm like, I'm not exactly surprised that he looked off the pace.
But my issue is he just didn't even look like he was interested.
No, he isn't interested. But that's more on Lampard than Aubameyang.
But he shouldn't be playing then.
Exactly.
That has to be
with a 0.
That has to be the last time we see him in a Chelsea shirt.
Yeah, must be.
And
Lewis better shut up about Aubameyang now. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it again, man.
Oh, mate. Yeah, no. There was no service, but he doesn't help himself. He doesn't drop deep, doesn't come and get involved, he doesn't come looking for the ball. He just stands there. So I can't be having it. We'll give Havertz a quick rating because he did play 45 minutes. He was a little bit better, not much. I'll be honest, mate. I can't really remember anything he did.
You remember that shot quite late on when he blasted it?
I do. We had a shot on target and we were cheering it.
Yeah, exactly. The best shot we had all night, other than a goal.
Yeah.
Would you believe it? Pice yesterday gave him a 6.
What?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Was he feeling okay?
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing, but I think I initially gave him a 3, but then Pice talked me into giving him like a 4 or something. So like somewhere around there. He was certainly not anywhere near as bad as Sterling or Aubameyang.
No.
But he wasn't amazing either, let's be honest.
No, he wasn't amazing.
He wasn't even good.
No, he wasn't. Mate, just last thing to wrap up. Are you surprised that Felix didn't play at all? Are you surprised that Lampard's not really using him much recently? Is that strange?
I'm surprised that he brought Ziyech on over him, yeah.
Yeah. It's
not surprised that he's not starting. But
no, but he should be featuring from the bench, for sure. Yeah.
The problem is, obviously, he tried it at Wolves, didn't he? The whole 4-3-3, Felix on the wing. And we all agreed, that we should never do that again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, but we were playing that.
Felix don't really fit in a 4-3-3, does he?
No, he doesn't. And if anything, I think more on the right than on the left. Because on the right, yesterday, different. If Reece James is the right back, then I can let the right winger cut inside because the right back will push up. I guess now that Chilwell played, I guess you could allow, because obviously against Wolves it was Cucurella left back. So I guess maybe when Chilwell plays left back, maybe you could allow the left winger to cut inside like like Felix would do too much of. But it certainly would have made more sense to bring him on than Ziyech, that's for sure, yeah.
Just quickly, what do you think's happened to Pulisic? He's not even making the squad anymore.
Next question, why? Like, Ziyech was literally already in Paris. Now,
Mate,
we might want to sell Pulisic as well, but surely Pulisic is still going to be more
useful.
Yeah, exactly. But
didn't understand where he was. I haven't seen him for a while. I've kind of forgotten about him, but it is what it is. Seems like a good place to round out. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, thanks for getting involved in the chat. Make sure you smash the likes on the stream on the way out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't done so already. Edging ever closer to the 3,000 subscribers. Got about 150 to go now, so should easily hit that by the end of the season, which is the aim. So let's get it done, guys. And make sure you follow Lawrence as well on Twitter and subscribe to his channel. It's tagged in the description, so you can easily just click on the app. Takes you straight there. You just click that subscribe button, mate. You're heading along nicely on that road to 20k.
I mean, nicely, obviously, these Chelsea results aren't exactly happening because I feel like no one gives a shit now of the fan base. I'm totally understandable. Even I'm struggling to give a shit.
It's fair. But
so bring me some transfer news of players going, some transfer serious, not Messi, but some serious transfer news of players coming in. Give me that. All right. Do you mind if we give God of Frogs the chance to ask you that quick question?
Yeah, let's do it. Are you keeping the Mount picture if he leaves? Oh, mate, this is a big question, bro.
This is the Champions League journal, by the way. Let me tell you.
Mate, are you going to keep that?
This is from when we won the Champions League. There's also Mbappe in here. You could pick between having Mbappe on the front or... No, or was it Foden? No, it was Mbappe. Look, there's all the Mbappe shit inside here.
Yeah.
But, no. But at the same time, you guys can't see it. But behind me, see there's actually Oscar. But no one can ever see it because it's always behind my head.
Yeah, mate, Oscar, what a guy.
Exactly.
What a guy. Still living it up in the Chinese Super League.
Exactly. Yeah, he's balling now. He had a 10 out of 10 the other day.
Did he?
Without getting an assist or a goal, he had a 10 rating. How does that even happen?
Yeah, but so the answer is you are going to keep that Mount thing. If he goes. Mate, it's part of the club history.
If he went to Juve, I'd keep it. If he leaves within the Premier League, I won't.
No, fair. Mate, you might have to find a replacement, mate.
Yeah, I will. I've got a couple more here, but they're like Shirley and like old ones.
Yeah,
I need a couple of new ones, right? Because I've only done away games this season. I haven't gotten any nice match programs.
Yeah, fair. No, that's a fair point. But yeah, guys, we'll round it out there. Make sure you subscribe to Lawrence. It's just click the @ in the description, guys. Smash the likes on the stream on your way out. Subscribe to the channel as well. I'll be back Friday probably with some Bournemouth preview. So make sure you stay tuned for that one, guys. But in the meantime, take care, enjoy the rest of your evening, and up the Chelsea.